Look, the Sens had a bad week.
What?
This is a recording.
Yeah, honestly.
We did the Pinto thing. We did the Dorian thing.
It's like those little color bars you see when the TV used to go off the station, right? You go, Sens had a bad week.
So we sort of, I can't be alone, thought after the Dorian firing, okay, the Band-Aid has been torn off and they're going to move forward. There is still the DJ question. And as we sit here right now, I've been checking Twitter quite frequently on the Sunday following that loss to Tampa Bay and the booing that was going on and the chanting that was going on. Sort of expecting that it might be today. It doesn't look like it's going to be today. But Brady had some comments after the game. I assume you saw his press conference
I did, yes.
and what he had to. So we have the clip here. I want to point out to the good listener, for the sake of transparency, this has been trimmed for
public consumption.
Well, just the length of it. He was asked by Ian Mendez,
friend of the show, Ian Mendez,
where does this go wrong? Where did this game get away from you? And so before the comments I'm about to play, he does work through, there's a bounce off a skate here and then they poke it in there and some bad bounces and this and that. But that wasn't the interesting part. He then continues on his own and unprompted, no one asked him about the booing, no one asked him about the chanting. He goes there on his own, and this is what he had to say, like I said, coming out of that Ian Mendez question about just how this game had gone and where it got away from them.
Yeah, frustrating. I mean, it's whenever you don't win, it's frustrating, and it's frustrating the negativity from the outside. It's the constant booing and the bullshit kind of from the crowd too. Tonight was I understand that they're a passionate fan base. I understand. I love it, but I mean, when you face adversity, you don't turn your back on the guys out there.
So he manages.
You don't fucking turn your back.
Yeah, he manages to stifle an F-bomb there. He stops short of going there. But I'm curious what you make of this, because he sort of pumps the brakes, right? He's like, yeah, what was happening in the crowd tonight was bullshit. They're a passionate group, and I love that. Like, he's not totally willing to throw the crowd under the... But he's frustrated by a bunch of things. He's frustrated by the losing and the way this is going. He's frustrated by the chanting and, the losses and everything that's going on, and he goes the bullshit out of the crowd tonight. That's pretty harsh from your captain. But he does... I wanted to leave that next line or two in there because it does sort of see him try and go, I get it. You're frustrated, or you're passionate. I love that. I'm curious what you made of this, because not super common for the captain of any team to say, yeah, what the fans were doing tonight was bullshit at a home game.
I love the guy.
Yeah.
I love the guy. And we talked about it last week. I think my jersey needs a number. And more than ever, yeah, I want to go with the number 7. I want to go with the Tkachuk. I want to go. Now, I'm going to caution, you can only take so many runs at the fan base.
Yep.
So it's okay to play that card. And I think...
Because the fans are frustrated too.
Well, and there's a bunch of things. So I love the guy. I do. And to me, if you watch the game, he has fingerprints all over that. The best parts of that game, from a Senator's perspective, were Brady Tkachuk in so many ways.
Well, he ended up on camera at one point getting into it with Chychrun a little bit as well.
That was 2 games ago.
You're right. Sorry. That was not on Saturday.
But yeah, and I
that's okay. He's the leader. He's the captain. If he feels it's necessary, then okay. But
and who knows exactly what the origin of that is, right? In terms of who is chirping at who first. But you and I have been on teams. You and I have been on the same team at times, and in my past, I've fought teammates in a practice.
Right.
It happens, right? It happens amongst.
Are you suggesting he might be looking to fight a fan or two?
No, and he.
But this is where he pumped the brakes on Chychrun, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
like, we're mad at each other.
Or who was originally saying, "Hey, man, you as the fucking forward, you need to come back too, right? We need 5 men to the house." Like, I don't know what the origin is, or whether he's saying to Chychrun, you need to do that better.
Right.
To me, at this point, with the way that first line sometimes defends, you got to be, man. You need to have 5 guys committed to the same job. So
Sure.
I'm not always willing to just blame the defense.
No.
He also went on, and the part we don't have in that clip is him saying, we play to the end. We play hard to the end.
Yeah, he does go on in that same quote to say, we're trying, we're working hard.
We never cheat the fans,
Yeah.
the money-paying fan.
That's right.
And
You understand, I just had to draw a line somewhere.
yeah, no, of course I do.
Yeah.
Of course I do. No. And all I'm saying is he's taking a bit of a run at the fans, and he's also said, hey, man, we're fucking doing it. We're out here working. And I think for the most part, and we talked about it last week after I was at the Buffalo game, where it was 5-1 and it ended 6-4 with an empty netter.
Yeah.
And I tip the cap on the never giving up. And I think that's true, right? We've seen 3 or 4 times this year where they have pushed back in the third.
Yep.
But that does not negate
How you got there.
how you got there. And that's the thing where the bit of umbrage I do take with the captain is, have you started like you've finished? And if you had, we wouldn't be in this position.
The Islanders game, very similar, right? Give up too early. Stay with it, like push all the way late, but
The Kings game, you're
if you
down
start
3
better,
zip.
yeah.
And then I went away. I watched The Voice. Like, I moved away entirely and came back, and it's 3-2 with 8 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, but why are you in this position? And it's okay to finish strong, but as I've said to you with the Buffalo game, I was at live, the last 5 minutes does not negate the first 55.
Right.
And if you're coming out like shit, it does not get you off the hook to finish strong when you haven't started strong. And I think that's where the fan base goes, yeah, man, you guys aren't doing it. And I've heard it in so many places. If you love DJ Smith and you think he's a great guy, then you got to play better from the start for him.
Yeah, I think on Saturday, most of the booing and the chanting was about DJ, not the team. And
Well, the negativity from outside, he's suggesting, to me, isn't strictly the fans.
No.
It's media as well.
100%. So when he says, the bullshit coming out of the crowd, to me, it's not as harsh as it sounds. I think
Agreed.
this is the way people talk, right? Like,
Agreed.
and the shit happening over here, and it's sort of a throwaway.
Hey, you fuckhead.
And I think Brady has enough
Currency.
in this market
Yep.
with this fan base to be able to get away with that once or twice. But as you said, you can't do it too often.
Right.
And I think there's probably frustration. He used that word in his quote there, that if you're one of the players, I wonder almost, we're hearing this about our coach. If you're going to do it, could you just do it now? Like, I wonder if part of it is directed at ownership. Like, I don't think they're calling for DJ to be fired.
Right.
But if you're going to turn around in a day or 2 or 3 or another game or 2 and do it, just fucking do it now. Like, this is a bit much. I
didn't get that.
No.
But that doesn't mean that's not the case, right? If that's how you took it.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying that I got it as media and fan base.
Right.
That we are doing our bit here. And I never question Brady's effort
No.
or commitment to the franchise.
Although we are starting to see Stutzla do his little thing again here a little bit lately.
But that we haven't mentioned
Yeah.
number 18. And so to me, he has regressed
A little bit, yeah.
to his whining, complaining, as in the not committing full way through. Hey, man, that should have been a penalty. Yeah, okay. You know what? It wasn't. Keep fucking going.
Yeah.
And you got to go hard, man. You got to, if that's your DJ Smith, we go hard all the time. I've seen a regression from him. And we talked about Vancouver. And we talked about your Carson Soucy's, your Tyler Myers, the guys they have on the D core and in the lineup in general have not greatly changed. But you do have a different coach there.
Yep.
And the change has been night and day in terms of the results.
That's true.
And so sometimes when you go, Okay, all those people who thought Ottawa was going to crush it this year or be a playoff team.
Yeah.
Be on the cusp. Whatever crushing it looks like.
Well, some of the Sens fans that I follow on Twitter, last night was the first night I started to see them kind of, I wonder if we're just not as good as we thought we were.
Yeah, but it wasn't just Ottawa.
No. The media all over the place was saying this is a team that's going to take a big step and push. And
that's
be
all
right
I'm
there.
saying
Yeah.
is it's not just deluded local, very provincial fans, right?
No.
It isn't the case. And so when you look at the very minimal change in the Vancouver lineup, but you have a new voice, a structure.
Imagine.
Can I repeat structure? Right? Something that they can fall back on when things aren't good. Because that's what a good structured approach brings you. When shit's not going good and your talent alone is not winning you games, you got to fall back on structure.
So the only reason I was bringing up those tweets I saw on Saturday night about maybe this team isn't as good as we thought they were. So I went through and I'm looking at some stats and I'm looking at the lineup. And I you know me, I wasn't sold yet the playoffs, but I was certainly sold they'd be better than this.
Yeah.
They'd be pushing right at the end.
Yep.
The name I kept throwing out there as a guy who was going to bounce back was Batherson.
Oh, man.
And it hasn't happened. And that's a huge piece. Like, that's a top 6 piece that, look, I assume Stützle's going to be fine. Brady's always fine. Drew at some point is going to fall off. I don't feel like he's there yet. Like, he seems okay. Tarasenko took a game or two, but he's sort of gotten it going. And then you're sort of into, it took a while to get Norris back. Pinto isn't there. Greg's now hurt. Whatever's going on. But I keep coming to the name Batherson, and I don't know what that is. I expected that was a prime candidate for bounce back. So when I see people talk about maybe this team isn't as good as we thought they were, maybe that's true, maybe it isn't, but I look at Batherson and I go, well, that guy maybe isn't as good as I thought he was, and that's a key piece that if it's not there, is going to hurt them bad.
Certain guys are never going to win you Selkies.
No.
And I'm not suggesting you think that's the case. But that guy just needs to be harder. Like, he scored on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't undo the rest of the game.
Yeah.
That's a guy who needs to, like last year, despite not having a great year last year, ended up with 13, 14, 15 power play goals.
Yeah, but I'm going back even a year before that at this point, right? Like
when he signed the contract, and it was 4.95 or whatever it was, and you're like, man,
great deal.
That's a great deal.
Great deal.
5 times less than 5, and you're like,
and you're still not like it's a terrible deal, but he doesn't look the same. He just
see.
He almost is on the same track as Vladdy, right? Where the last 2 years you're like, I don't know, it's not terrible, but now your expectations of Batherson are different than of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. But you know what I'm saying in the sense that this guy isn't quite where we need him to be. He's beneath that. But you go back 2 years, and you're like, man, I know he can be so much better, right? Like, I know it's in there.
Yeah. When you're not approaching the 60 to 70 points and you are turning pucks over at either blue line, it's a fucking killer, man.
Yeah.
It's a killer. And that is just not enough attention to details, right? If you were not going to be 100 point,
is that coaching or is that him not being the right type of player to do it? Like
little from column A,
yeah, okay,
little from column B, right? That's a guy who we talked about Johnny Gaudreau getting benched in Columbus.
Yeah.
We talked about JT Miller getting benched for parts of a period in Vancouver. You got to be able to say, and DJ said before the beginning of this year, we have enough depth in this lineup that if you aren't going, you're going to sit for a bit. You're going to do whatever.
And to be fair to him, that depth has been chipped away at.
Oh, there's injuries aplenty. And it's
again.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. But it was Gary Galley. You were probably watching the Leaf game on Saturday night, but Gary's doing the color. Mm-hmm. And he said, tough times, lots of injuries. He said, but what you look at in this team is you have both of your goalies, you have your top 6 forwards are essentially intact.
Yeah.
Those guys have to pick it up. And from a guy who's been in the change room, been in the locker room in an NHL arena, I gotta agree with that guy.
Yeah.
If you have your top 6 forwards, they have to have better puck possession. They got to be going. And so it does fall to your Bathersons on a night when Brady had 3 points, 2 goals, and was in the middle, and he drew that penalty, and I the Tanner Jeannot thing where I'm not sure if you were watching it at all, but
I saw it after the fact. Yeah.
That you're like, you know what? Brady doesn't need to fight Tanner Jeannot. No. Now, I bet you the next time they play, somewhere in the first period.
I see Zach McEwen's back in the lineup. Isn't that his whole...
Well, he's back in the lineup because everybody else is out. Yeah. Kostelic is out.
Yeah.
My boy, Ridley Gregg. But Batherson is that guy who it really, the light gets shone on. If you're not dominating on the power play and you're not producing points, the defensive side is never going to be your game. But man, you need more. That is a guy who is a top 6 sort of linchpin, right? He's the guy who is going to make everything else happen.
Yeah, if he's going, that's an elite top 6. If he's not, it's sort of,
because he is a liability if he's not going.
Right.
And so you can't hurt and not produce.
So as we circle back to DJ before we move off the Sens, I want to just you're on record for a while now that it's been time for DJ to go.
Yep.
As you look at the schedule, like I've said to the good listener here, you and I have kept an eye on things all Sunday afternoon while we're recording here to see if it's happening now. Was this the moment? Because, you're sometimes looking for a break where the guy can come in and have a couple practices, or a weak schedule where he can come in and look like he's beating up. We're getting some wins out of the new guy that we wouldn't have wanted to waste on the old guy.
Yeah.
They have some time off coming out of Europe. They're going to Sweden here in a week or so, or whenever it is, with the Leafs, the Wild, and the Red Wings. If they were going to do it, was this the moment? Is after Sweden the moment?
Well, these are the 2 logical breaks, right? Okay. Toronto happens on Wednesday, right? So as of recording here on Sunday afternoon.
And that's going to be interesting. That's a game Sens fans are going to want. They want them all, but that's a rivalry game. Would you be...
You know who else wants that game?
Toronto, a struggling Leaf team right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tuck, yeah.
But just in terms of what the fans might be thinking, right? Do we do it now and then subject the new guy right away to potentially, possibly a loss, but also could beat those guys and solidify that guy right away?
It's a road game, too. It's a road game, right?
Yeah.
And I am, as you said, I bet you we go back a season and a bit, right? We're late 21, 22, probably I am looking for a coaching change.
Right.
And I think you get to a spot, and I said it when they hired him in 2018 or whenever that was, DJ's the guy that's hired to be fired when this team gets
This is
good.
your rebuild coach.
Yeah. This is when you've outgrown, talent-wise, when you've outgrown the hard work and all that stuff. And I'm a good guy. You're a good guy. Let's do it. God bless him, man. God bless him.
Sure.
But this is the guy you hired to be fired when this team needed to take the next step.
When it's time to turn the page. That's right.
And so, you have 3 days. And to me, that Toronto game's a gimme. And only a gimme, I say, in the fact that Toronto was expected to beat this team, I think. And it's a road game.
Although less likely lately.
but again, that's because they're soft.
Apparently. We'll get into that.
Yes, we will. But that's a game where in Toronto's coming off a couple losses, and you go, that's a game where you go, yeah, we're going to stand up and we're going to steal that. That's a new coach, new goalie, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That is a steal game if you're Ottawa. And so the logical time is Sunday. Today, as of recording, you fire him. If not, you ride with DJ
through Sweden.
Okay. When you have that nice 5-day break to sort of acclimatize
DJ
back.
can hang back, tour around.
Bring your family. I told you, man.
Stockholm.
The Norwegian fjords afterwards, right? It's a small Helsinki is.
We don't
awesome.
have a seat for you on the charter home.
Bring the family, man. Deej, come on, man. You're going to get another job somewhere as an assistant coach. I have no doubt. Your future is secured. Unlike Pierre, DJ will get another job.
Pierre will get another job too as a scout.
As a scout, he'll never GM again.
No.
But you are talking about, this is a guy, that to me, those are the two logical spots, right? And so
had it been your choice, when would you have done it?
2022.
Yeah, no. Okay. You're firing him this month.
Today, this morning.
Yeah.
This morning.
Just because the sooner the better? Or
the sooner the better. Now, you have to have, I do not want to see, and you and I talked about it in the green room over a couple of pints, we're talking about you need new, right? So when this move gets made, you need to have shit in place.
Yeah, you're not looking for Jack Capuano or one of the assistants to step in. You want a new voice, a new system, a new guy, a new everything.
Where's Guy
new
Boucher
GM
at?
coming?
Oh, wait, he's in Toronto. Yeah,
you can take him. You can bring it back.
Run it back.
Yeah. No, I think I'm with you just because I'm also on side that it's time, right? It's time for someone else. And if you already know that, then why wait? I get you sort of look, sometimes you have to wait, right? Like we're playing a back-to-back tonight, 3 and 4 nights, and then we're coming home for 3 days off, whatever you would do it then. Like there are times where you have to wait, but this would have been the moment to do it on Sunday afternoon.
And the thing is, stay.
And I think it goes, sorry, I just, that's my
right.
thoughts flow in slowly. Coming off the Dorian thing this week, just tear the whole fucking Band-Aid off, right? Just get it done. We're turning the page. All of this is going to be gone. New ownership, new coaching, new GM, all of it. Just get it over with rather than stretch it out that extra week or two.
And I said to you in the green room, you're looking at a stool, a 3-legged stool.
Yeah.
Right?
Instead of a big pile of stool.
This is it. Well, stool has a very medical feel to it. The three legs to it are ownership, general management, and coaching.
Yeah.
You've already changed out 2 of those.
Just get it done.
And it's only a matter of time. And so I'm watching that game on Saturday night, and I'm like, it's going to happen, man. You feel it, right? When you feel it across the board where you're just like, it's a matter of when, not if.
Yeah.
Right? That it's going to happen. So
as we come full circle on it, back to Brady's comments, that's sort of, I think they were
your take on it, right?
I think those were throwaway comments from him. Yeah, it's just bullshit from the crowd, whatever. But I think that was sort of my takeaway. That's like, if we're doing this, can we just do it? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it.
No. And it's perspective, right? Yeah. Everybody leads into any kind of comment with their own preconceived ideas
100%.
and what happens. And so to me, I went with media first.
Yep.
The fans, most fans are not intelligent, right? Like
possibly including the two sitting right there.
I listen. No, I'm totally not including the two of us. I listened to Creech and Chris Stevenson on the post game on Saturday night.
Yeah,
and people phone in, and I rarely listen to the post games because stupid people phone in. Like it's just
almost any talk radio. I'm turning off when the caller segment starts.
Do not. Like Creech and CJ are doing their bit.
Yep.
And they are immersed in the action. Most people, I have very little time for the average fan. Sorry, those of you, except for those listening to Tolkien.
You obviously have a higher standard listener.
You guys are, and you know what? I harken back to the Western correspondent when we first started doing this podcast, way back when. He said, it may be a little level 2.0 hockey for your average dumbass. Okay, and I'll take that. That to me was, I don't think he meant it as a compliment.
No.
But that to me is fine, right? If you're looking at beyond what the average mouth-breathing fan, which again, if you're listening to this podcast,
that's not you.
That is not you.
Yeah.
Right? You understand what's happening here. Yeah.
That's it. All right.
That's my own personal take.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens next. But the Brady thing is,
and
I'm not taking too much umbrage with it if I'm a fan.
Exactly.
Like the bullshit coming from the thing that made this interesting to me, maybe because it always happens, is I read it in text first on Twitter, and you're like, wow,
I heard it.
That's a little saucy.
I listened to it. I tuned in after watching the game.
Yeah.
I tuned in.
And so when you go back and you listen to him, you're like, okay, it's not like the fans are bullshit.
Yeah.
No, it's, and the bullshit that, like, it's just the way guys talk. It wasn't that big of a...
And he's a guy, and I don't even count the 2 goals he scored. This is a guy who, to me, he does it, right? Like, his actions...
Yeah.
He walks the walk and he talks the talk.
No, he's not one of these guys who's, out there half-assing it and diving around and whatever, and then stands up and goes, "We're doing our best." No, that guy's doing his best.
No, and you see it.
Yeah.
You see his best. And again, this is a guy who isn't the greatest skater, doesn't have the hardest shot, all these things, and you go, yeah, but he's going to be a 90-point guy, and he does it on fucking sheer will.
Yeah.
And that's the guy. And again, Steve Stais, that's the thing, again, when you look at the things that you glean
from the new president.
From the new body coming involved, he goes, you can wait a lifetime for a franchise and not get a Brady Tkachuk.
Right.
And I totally agree. And I was always a wait and see. But, man, that's a guy who just lives and breathes it.
Well, and they're so different, eh? But, like, you looked at Alfie.
He's a Swede.
And you went, okay, but, like, you go, that's captain shit. A lot of the things he would do, the way he would stand out there and answer the media and the way he played the game, it wasn't the way Brady plays the game, but it was a strong two-way game. He was always in game. And now Brady's coming out. They're not particularly similar players. They're not really comparable at all. But you look at that guy and go, that's captain shit. That's a guy who will go, like, you buy that guy as a leader and as a captain.
And whether it's, and I say he's a Swede, and I don't mean that in a
Don Cherry
way at all. I mean it as somebody who's been to Sweden 5 or 6 times. The Swedes just have a very different way of going about it.
Even keeled.
But there's no doubt.
Yeah.
It's zero doubt Alfie would cut your throat to win. He just comes about it in a, hey, yeah. He's just got a very, whereas
different type
Brady
of leader.
has the very American,
blah,
I'm going to do this, and then blam, I'm on you.
Right.
Both of them are assassins in a very different way. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, Alfie is a simmering.
And there's been captains in between, but those are the 2 that you look at and you go, those are going to be long-term captains that the fans buy, and it's just interesting to look at how different they are. And so
100%.